everybody. So this is vlog number 1. We've actually got it now. So this property here with the mountains. Come and look at the mountains. Look over here. Look, come over here. So, all over. Yeah, that's the mountains. That's about 2,000 meters there, and there's a mountain up there that's in the cloud now. That's 1,500 meters. And we're here about 900 meters, and our land is what's in front of us here and open. Plus, down there where the big trees are, a chunk of woodland there, 7,000 square meters. So not much, a bit less than 2 acres. And everything about it's south facing, that's south. And everything about it was right, because everywhere else I've been looking for decades, it's never been quite right. It doesn't seem like there's any risk of avalanche or landslides or flooding. There's soil, good soil, it seems like. There's no water, no electricity, no sewage, no road getting here. So how are we going to live here? I don't know. And I don't know how we're going to start. We just bought this on Wednesday, like 4 days ago. We got the keys. Where are the keys? Look at the keys. We got given the keys. And the keys, they said, oh, look at the age whilst you're looking at the keys. So look at the age. That's probably the age of the building, the main building. So if you come over here, look, here's the keys. We got given the keys when we went to Ivrea, but just look at the key. So we can't actually open any of the doors. Here's the door. One of the keys, we're pretty sure it's this key, goes in there. Goes in. But then I don't know what it's meant to do. Obviously I can turn it. But this is a key and a door that's that age. So 1841. One of the things that attracts this place, one of the kind of signs, was the 3 hearts, which are probably a religious symbol, but they're a beautiful symbol. And you got this little thing which they call the croutin. So this is where they were making cheese, keeping cheese. We hear from the we got this place through the family who built it, and they still were coming here until the 70s and spending some time, but it hasn't been inhabited. We don't know how long. We don't know how long. We have no idea. This bit was the bit that was lived in. Here was the starless or the stalls where they had animals, like in this bit. So that would be the main thing. And there's still all stuff in there, old beds and stuff, but it's so dangerous to go up there. Because we don't want to be the English people that bought the property and then a week later we got killed because the roof fell on their head, because it's going to start falling down. Look over here. Like here, we got this again, a stall where they would have had cows in here. Look, Yenka thinks they would have been tiny cows. And here, but you see, this is all falling down. All of this here, and see, this is meant to be the floor, and it's fallen, and everything. You wouldn't want to walk on top of this. Look how it's built here. Look, it's just little sticks. You see that? Not even proper planks. And a lot of it's not even. They made good wood. These are all chestnut. We got the chestnut, by the way, over there. Look, that's probably could be 1,000 years old. Could be older. Could be younger, but probably not much younger. That one. But then you got this building over here as well. This little building. The roofs are still on the buildings, just they haven't, so they're not collapsed. So this one says 4 buildings and land and trees and mountains and probably water under the ground with springs. But it's a big response. Oh look, there's the first primrose. It's a big responsibility, and I don't really know how to start. I've got lots of ideas. We all do. There's the first primrose. So we've just been clearing some brambles today, because at least we know we can do that without needing any sophisticated advice or tools or know-how. Or it's just a matter of a bit of work clearing up the brambles, because otherwise in a year this will be so covered in brambles you won't be able to get to this, which is probably best because you don't want it to fall on your head anyway. Anyway, I'm going to go away and not talk to you. So eventually we managed to get in to the buildings with these old keys that I showed you before. We managed to work out, with help from people that know better than me, how to get in. So we started coming into these buildings to start to clean up some of the crap that's in here, because it's full of stuff from the last 200 years. You have to come and be careful. So in this area here, this is the vault is underneath, and so it's kind of rounded on the top, and it hasn't got a proper floor. So all this old stuff, we started clearing up, and we had a few interesting surprises. Here's some of the things we found so far. This is an old, probably a wheel from a wheelbarrow, over 100 years for sure. An old mouse trap, some old beautiful bottles, some old lamps. Here you can see some old lamps, a bell, cattle bell, which is quite a find. And then we started finding more interesting things: axe, ammunition, bullets, rounds. I don't know what the proper words is, but this is almost certainly Second World War. And I found these by looking up above the door, which was the obvious place you would hide something, right? Or you put something. There's a sharpening stone, and I found the bullets, and there could be more stuff up there. Like I can see something now. I don't know what it is. It's an old bottle, but this place is full of stuff. And the interesting thing is that Second World War period bullets, and this is what was a bit of a shock. This is something that's probably military, and the shepherd guy, when I was in here, came in and he saw it and he opened it, which I wouldn't have done. There was a white powder, and he said, "Oh, this is the white powder that if you put a bit of water on it, it makes flames and sparks. It makes flames." So this looks like munition. This is Second World War stuff. If you look at this heavy container, and no idea what it is. Could be chemical warfare. Most likely explosive. So all this area here, we've got to start digging out. We have no idea, but it's pretty clear that this place was used in the Second World War, perhaps for people to hide, maybe partisans, maybe fascists, who knows. But this is the story. It's still here. We're literally, this is kind of like archaeology. We're like digging layers of history here, and there's even found stuff with the old. Hey, look, we put up a few private property signs, some prayer flags to try letting people know that we're here. I don't know what that's going to mean, because this is a very complex place with decades and thousands of years. I mean, not decades, a long time of history here that's still here. Relationships, like the old chestnut trees. But if you look in here, there's something else. There's another story in here that I want to show you. Look. This is, again, when I asked the old man, he said, oh, they were digging for water. But I don't think so. This is what they call a croutine. So this is the house where they used to make cheeses. So it's like a kind of cave environment they created. So if you come in, you see the old stone that they would have used to make the cheeses on. I've told the old man whose grandparents this used to make cheeses here, you can have it. And he looks like he started disassembling it, unless it was thieves, who knows. And then we saw this, and the old man says that's where he was digging for water. Well, that's pretty well organized for digging for water. It's very flat, and it looks like it looks like an escape route. This place was occupied during the war by who knows who, hiding out in a very remote place here. This looks to me like it's either an escape route or perhaps for storing stuff hidden, because you can see this wall here has been broken to do it, and it would have been easy to cover that up. So a good hiding place. I suspect not for people, but I suspect for either munitions or as an escape route to get out of here. So we're uncovering layers of history, and the funny thing is now what we're going to do, because we found all this stuff that looks like it could blow us up, unless it's chemical warfare stuff, in which case it's even more scary. We've contacted the mayor, and she's given us the number of the Carabinieri, so the military police. And we're about to go there now to bring them back up here to see all the bullets and this military-looking stuff, because it's obviously dangerous, and so that's going to be part of the story, is what happens next with the cops. I normally don't go to the cops for things like this, but but I've never had this kind of experience before, so I tend to stay away from policemen if I can. But in this situation, they're going to know what to do with things that are potentially explosive, which is probably a good idea. So, oh, look at this. We cut the guy came and started cutting the trees down. We're leaving the old chestnut, of course. That's like the mother spirit of this place. But look at this. This was a sycamore and an ash that were both sick and diseased. But look at the way it's changed the view. Now it's opening up the view. And then if you look back at the house, you look at how we're changing the place. We're making some decisions, and the place is starting to change. Hopefully for the better, respecting the past. But these poor old trees, it was a real struggle whether to keep them or take them down, because they're well over 100 years old. But if you look at the bottom of this ash, it's got the ash dieback. It's sick. And if you look at that, you see it's rotten inside. And again, with the sycamore, it's also hollow and rotting. So we made an arrangement with the guy who's doing this, and I was worried because we don't have much money left, having bought this property. So, you know, getting specialized tree work like this, especially like right next to the house, you see they've taken a tree down. These ones right next to the house are really delicate. You don't want to mess up with that. Anyway, the guy came out and gave us a quote, and the quote was, he'll do the work and he takes the wood. Well, that's good. Although the wood's worth a lot, obviously, but we were quite impressed by that, thinking we're going to be spending thousands to get specialist tree surgery, and he's going to take the wood. Anyway, we'll let you know what happens when we go to the cops next. The cops have just left, two of them, one a bit older than me, one younger, very, very formal, very well dressed, the military police, the Carabinieri. So we had to go to their headquarters, about 7-8 miles over there. And then we went in, and it was like going into a sitting room. It was very formal. And they asked me questions in quite complex Italian that I made mistakes because I was very nervous. Then we had to drive here, being followed by policemen. So I never knew. In Italy, it's complex to know how fast you should go, because if it's a 50-kilometer-an-hour limit, if you go that often, that's a wrong thing to do. You've got to go a bit faster, because that's what everybody else, you keep with the traffic. And it's always complicated with cops when they're sitting on your tail, right? But this time they're following me deliberately. So we come all the way up here to the bit where we can't drive any further because it's a dirt road. We don't want to trash our car, and we can't turn around. And I'm saying to Yenko, they're going to find this a bit, you know, like, because they're going to have to walk. I say, I'll tell them it's 20 miles. Don't worry, hope you've had lunch. So we get out the car, and sure enough, the cop, he said, what are you doing? He said, it's up there. I said, yeah, it is, but I can't drive it. But if you want to drive, you're welcome to drive. And I use the lei form. They lei vuole andare. And then in the end, he understands he's got to walk, and he complains the whole time up. Says, of course you could drive this. No problem, you could drive this. You could drive it. You could just turn around here. And I'm like, well, yes, yeah, I didn't want to destroy the car. You won't destroy the car here. Whereas everybody else has always said to me, never drive it unless you make the road better. He comes in, and he's like, what is it you found? And I said, well, I don't know, but it's a container, a military-looking container, and I found bullets. And what kind of bullets? I said, I don't know. I didn't. In England, we didn't have to do the military service, so I don't know anything about guns or ammunition or bombs. and I lose their respect from that point onwards. I've got to be honest. We walk here, I go in, show them the bullets, and they look at them, they pick them up, and they say, yes, these are from the Second World War, and they count them, and then they say, what's the other thing? And I say, it's this. And I'm like this. And he goes over, and he's quite suspicious, and he kind of goes, and he goes like this. He says to the friend, okay, put the light in it. And there's the two cops in the dark little room in there, right? And he goes, and he bangs it, and I'm like, shit, it's gonna go. And he opens it, and he gets the light, and he looks in, and he goes, it's cement. It's cement. And I said, oh, but isn't that a military container? And he says, yes, the military use containers like that, or for dangerous chemicals you put them in. And I said, yeah, that's what I mean. He said, don't worry, it's cement. And they took the bullets away, and we spent 10 minutes doing paperwork. And now the cops are gone. And it's cement. So all ended well. We didn't get blown up. Perché non quelle due?
Sono giovani.
Ok. Yeah. Ma questa sembra una buona notizia di loro.
Che miseria.
È vero? Perché hanno detto cambia tutto.
Cambia, mettere due filo più cose.
Meglio per tutti, no? Per uno.
Like where you could easily just close this up and
Nobody would know there.
And this was obviously some kind of trough for washing.
There's water that they brought in here. Right. This was cheese making place here.
Cheese making. What a slab. These little bottles.